Senator Cassidy, and Dr. Cassidy to mark the beginning of the second year of the reignited Cancer Moonshot and in recognition of Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. We're all here today because we share a common goal, to end cancer as we know it. The Louisiana Cancer Research Center was born of that collective aspiration. Louisiana is disproportionately impacted by cancer, and the Cancer Center provides a collaborative attack on cancer in the state that epitomizes the approaches identified by the Cancer Moonshot. We collaborate across disciplines, across institutions, using a multi-pronged approach to attack cancer with every tool at our disposal, while we invent a few new ones along the way. This work is statewide. It's informed by our communities. We're doing it with our communities, and we're going to make sure it makes a difference for our communities. It's an all-hands-on-deck moment. I came here just over 6 months ago now because I saw the power of the innovative collaborative approach that Louisiana, the board, and faculty of the Cancer Center were taking. We're now moving pretty fast. I'm hoping everyone can keep up. We're well on our way to re-envisioning Louisiana Cancer Research Center as truly Louisiana's Cancer Research Center. I'll just say a few words about this. Louisiana is a bastion of innovation. In addition to the binocular microscope that we use here every single day, and of course the Higgins boat that won World War II, we also gave the world jazz and gumbo. Both of those are great examples of blending just the right ingredients to accomplish something greater than the sum of its parts. Like this, the Cancer Center blends the strengths of all of those who work with us to better prevent, detect, and treat cancer and improve the lives of the people and their families living with and surviving cancer. Our 4 consortium partners, LSU Health Sciences, Tulane University, Xavier University of Louisiana, and Ochsner Health, each bring distinct strengths to that mix. LSU Health Sciences and Tulane bring extensive research, clinical and educational base. Indeed, we have labs from both Tulane and LSU here in this building. That's a core innovation that surprises a lot of people, that we can mix labs in that way, but it reflects structurally our collaborative approach. Xavier brings expertise in pharmacology, health disparities, and minority health. It's a nationally recognized leader in the STEM and health sciences fields, producing more African American students who graduate from medical school each year than any other university in the United States. We're proud of that. While Ochsner Health adds depth to the clinical trials and community engagement work needed to touch patients' lives, and they have a presence across the state doing that good work. Researchers from all these institutions are working together in our 4 new research programs, increasing the breadth and impact of the work that we do beyond what any one institution could do alone. We've recently expanded our impact further by adding researchers in Ruston and Monroe, Shreveport, and Baton Rouge, and Lafayette to our programs. We really have a statewide reach, and we're also growing our work in cancer screening and prevention in communities in every corner of the state. And further, this building is the heart of the New Orleans Biodistrict, providing opportunities to collaborate with the private sector. Speaking of screening and prevention, it is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Colorectal cancer is the 2nd leading cause of death from cancer in our state and our country. Dr. Donna Williams, who is over here, leads the Cancer Center's statewide cancer screening, health equity, and community engagement programs. And she reminds us, and this is a quote, that with colorectal cancer, the difference between living and dying is screening, and the keys to screening are in the community. Dr. Williams works in close collaboration with Dr. Earl Benjamin Robinson. He leads our new Office of Community Outreach and Engagement. That's one of the first things I did, was to create that office. They're working with our other teams to expand training in community health workers, and to work with our federally qualified health centers statewide to better educate people about the different colorectal cancer screening services available and how to navigate those services. And we're challenging our hospital systems to help reduce structural barriers to colonoscopy by providing such things as navigation and transportation. Through partnerships, our teams have drastically increased the percentage of people in Louisiana who are up to date with screening to over 72%. That's the power of partnership. And we're committed to doing the same for lung and breast cancer, and to improving cancer screening and prevention across the board. This will be done hand in hand with expanding clinical trials availability and ensuring equitable access to these. Finally, in everything we do, we have to address the profound health equity and cancer disparities faced by so many in our state. Working together, we can further reduce the structural barriers by offering health care in ways that focus on the realities of the lives of most of our citizens in Louisiana. Together, we are stronger for Louisiana and working to end cancer as we know it, and we're accelerating the pace. Louisiana will again help lead the way. Thanks. And now, I want to make sure they're ready to come out. The stars of the show. With us today are two champions of cancer research, Senator Bill Cassidy and First Lady Jill Biden. When in the Louisiana Senate, Senator Cassidy started off right away. He worked to make state resources available for the very first time, to begin developing systematic colorectal cancer screening. Through this and many other initiatives, he's making a difference to improve the health of our people of our state and our nation. You want me to, I also want to make sure we understand, last year, Dr. Biden and President reignited the cancer moonshot, and with the achievable goal of reducing the death rate from cancer by 50%. So we're really grateful for your leadership. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
You know, I'm a gastroenterologist, and I tell folks that gastroenterology prepared me for politics. Now, you can take that in multiple levels, but when you do colonoscopies for 20 years, you'll learn that no matter what you look like on the outside, on the inside, we all look the same. Oh, almost. Some of us will have polyps, some of us will have cancer, and that's why we're here. And I'll also say I worked in our Louisiana public hospital system for the uninsured Medicaid patients, and probably 95% of my patients were registered Democrats. But you know, they never asked me my party, and I never asked them theirs. We were united in how do we come to a state of better health for that patient who was before me. I'd like to think that we're united here. United, how do we address colorectal cancer in Louisiana, bringing hope to patients who otherwise may not realize there's hope, but that we take that hope and we expand it across the nation. I will expand upon that. Louisiana has a particular problem with colorectal cancer. We're actually about average when it comes to screening, but we have an increased per capita rate of death from colon cancer. So that tells you, although we do a reasonably good job screening, well, not reasonably because no one does, but we do an average job, we have an above average death rate. Inherent in that is that we have a population prone to both developing cancer and hence to die. Now, these folks are all here committed, Dr. Biden, to addressing that issue. We would tell you that it's not geography, it's not our climate, rather, it is other things that these folks are trying to address. Now, as I kind of identify quickly some of the folks in the room, Scripture speaks about being surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. We have advocates here who've either survived colon cancer or who've had a family member who died. And those advocates represent all those lives lost and all those lives impacted. We thank you. We have researchers from the medical schools from North and South and from historically black colleges and universities working on the social determinants of disease that we know are so important in many diseases, including that of colon cancer. We have the Pennington Biomedical Research Center, which is working on nutrition and obesity's impact upon cancer and other aspects of our health. We're trying to address those things that lead to our population having an increased risk. I have two colleagues here, I can't see them in the audience, but two of my fellow gastroenterologists, Dr. Lacayo and Dr. Hobley. And they would tell you as gastroenterologists that the best treatment for colorectal cancer is early detection. So they are committed to that. Dr. Hobley has got a unique model which we could take across the country, collaborating with community health centers so that Medicaid patients have increased access to colorectal screening. I was just, by the way, continuing on this theme of our state having something to offer the rest of the nation. I spoke today to a Dr. Najib Thomas, who's an investor in something which will be a clinical blood screening that would allow the detection of colorectal cancer with 94% sensitivity before you actually get to the colonoscopy.
Now that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, isn't that? It is wonderful that she just asked you to applaud because my phone had just died on me, and so I was able to reopen it.
We're a team.
And we just toured with Dr. Ochoa. Dr. Ochoa, who's here and who's made sure that clinical trials have adequate representation of minority participants. You want a treatment, if it works, to know that it works in everybody. And our state has led the way in establishing that indeed we can have a clinical trial in which we know that trial works for everybody. Our state is committed to giving hope to those in our state, who are affected by colorectal cancer. We have more of it because those problems are magnified in our state. But in closing, I'd like to say that if those problems are magnified, if we find the solutions here with the aid of the Cancer Moonshot, if we find those solutions here, then the good results will be magnified beyond our state's borders. It won't just be hope for those here, it'll also be hope for those across the country. And that is the goal of the people in this room. So with that, Dr. Biden, I thank you for being here. I'm going to introduce you separately in a second, but separately I want to say I thank you for being here. We unite with you in trying to create hope for all those that when they hear that diagnosis feel nothing but despair. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And now it's my privilege to represent Dr. Biden, who's really the, I feel like I'm the warm-up act for the Who. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? Sit down, guy. And my staff had given me this nice introduction, and she tossed it out, and she said, this would be a better introduction, and it absolutely was. Dr. Biden is a wife, a partner, a mom, by the way, a Tulane mom. Half the crowd is clapping, and the other half is just, although we did have somebody right there. She's a Nana, and she's someone who is still actively teaching, still an educator, teaching English at
Northern Virginia Community College.
Northern Virginia Community College. And she is gracious enough. Oh, by the way, she likes her city. While she's here, she's going to go to the Tulane Book Festival. And so she's going to appreciate more of what we have. But as much as anything, she has committed a portion of her precious time to come here to speak about the unity that we can have as a state and as a nation in the Cancer Moonshot to bring hope to others. Thank you, Dr. Biden.
Thank you, Senator Cassidy. We just had a photo line on the other side of this wall, and everybody seemed to know one another, and I thought, I bet you think I'm a stranger to New Orleans. So as the senator said, that's just not true, because being a mother of a Tulane mom, you don't know how many times you have to just sort of slip down here to see what the heck's going on, because it's too much fun to go to college down here. So I've been down here to so many times and to so many restaurants, and I came down for Jazz Festival, and I used to run the trolley line, the tracks all the time. And so I feel just right at home here, believe me, right at home. And so I want to thank you for having me here today. And it's just so nice to be back in New Orleans. And Dr. Ramos, I'm great. Where is he? Oh, way over there. Okay. I'm grateful for this opportunity to see the exciting work that you're doing and the progress that's being made. And Mayor Cantrell and Representative Boyd, Congressman Carter, thank you for your warm welcome back to this city. So years ago, my sister Jan was diagnosed with lymphoma. And like every family who faces cancer, my sisters and I were stunned when we heard her diagnosis, terrified of losing her. But even as I held her hand and my breath through doctor visit after doctor visit, one thing gave me hope, that researchers like you were working tirelessly to find the best, most effective treatments for people like my sister. For 6 weeks, Jan underwent stem cell transplant therapy. Tough stuff. I visited her whenever I could, and it was painful at times, but it worked. Today, thanks to her treatment and the strength she found to fight, she's a survivor. Thank you. Cancer changes everyone it touches, and in some ways, we all know this, it touches us all. This community knows that more than most. So many families here in Louisiana have lost loved ones to this disease. And I know that's probably why many of you are here and why you do the work you do. Actually, we just heard that from one of the PhD candidates who was working in a lab. Because you know that the breakthroughs and the discoveries that you make here, every cancer-causing virus we learn how to defeat, every clinical trial that ends in success becomes the miracles that our families are praying for. Your work changes lives and it saves them. And that's why the Louisiana Cancer Research Center was created. Because your state legislature understood that the only way we can end the devastation of this disease is by bringing researchers and doctors and nurses and patients all together. We see the power of that collaboration here, where LSU, Tulane, Xavier, and Ochsner are working together under one roof in communities throughout the state. Today, we met nurses who are part of an incredible pilot, a program funded by the National Cancer Institute, revolutionizing clinical trial enrollment in remote areas throughout the Southern Gulf. And we saw the lab where researchers are looking for ways to stop viruses from turning healthy cells into tumors. This work is possible because the state of Louisiana has come together. Your congressional and state representatives from both sides of the aisle, like the senator said, the private sector, the nonprofits, and academia. And one of your strongest advocates has been Senator Cassidy. Bill, you and Dr. Cassidy have fought for patients for so long, from opening a free clinic for those most in need, to treating the uninsured, to making breast cancer screenings more accessible in this community. You've served the people of this state as doctors and now as public servants, dedicated to investing in research to end cancer. You understand that cancer doesn't care who someone votes for. It isn't a red issue or a blue issue. It's a human issue. And it takes all of us working together and sharing ideas to stop it. My husband, President Biden, knows that too. His cancer moonshot is bringing to the table the brightest minds and the fiercest hearts to learn and collaborate and discover. We're investing in new ways to prevent, detect, and treat cancer and expanding access to routine screenings. And that means right here, with millions of dollars from the federal government to support member institutions and scientists of the LCRC. Today at the White House, we're convening patients, survivors, companies, academic institutions, and healthcare providers to collaborate on efforts that will save lives from colorectal cancer. And in the 2024 budget that Joe released just yesterday, I'm sure you were all glued to your TVs, he is reducing the deficit and building the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, as well as investing in cancer research and prevention. Together, across party lines and state lines, we're building a world where cancer is not a death sentence, where treatments are less toxic and people live longer, healthier, happier lives. It's ambitious, but it's also within our reach. For Joe and for me, this is the mission of our lives, and we are ready and proud to work beside all of you. Thank you. Okay, should we say hello? Have we said hello to everybody?
they all know me.